Greetings, everyone, and welcome. October the 13th, 2025. While the world was watching, and rightfully so, the peace agreements being signed in Egypt, Gaza, Israel, all that is happening in the Middle East, did you know that today there was a huge NATO meeting that happened in Slovenia? And during that meeting, Rutte accused China of using their minion Putin to attack NATO. At the same time, Zelenskyy spoke in an address to the parliament of NATO that was absolutely stunning. He also getting his points about the weakness of Putin. At the same time, Orban, who just over the last couple of days has stated, want nothing to do with Ukraine, no NATO, no EU, no relationship, no nothing, was praised from a unique corner of the world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Let's jump straight to it. I want you to see here Zelenskyy and Rutte over to the right. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. He's in Slovenia, 71st annual session of the Parliament for NATO. Rutte addressed the assembly. He met with Slovenia and announced Slovenia joining the Pearl Initiative to provide American weapons to Ukraine. Prime Minister Robert Golob announced that Slovenia is joining the Pearl and they will be allocating funds to help Ukraine. That's great. Zelenskyy addressed the parliament. Rutte addressed the parliament. They had meetings, and this session was completely focused on bolstering defense investment, supporting Ukraine, and countering Russia's actions. I want to start first with Rutte's statement. Then I'm going to give you the surprise guest who praised Orban. And then we'll go to Zelenskyy, because you need to hear what Zelenskyy said today. It is powerful. Let's start with Mark Rutte. Hear it for yourself.
It's highly likely that China will force the junior partner in that relationship, being Russia, under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, to move against NATO here. To keep us busy. For all these reasons, we have to make sure that we work as strongly together with them. And then on the hybrid threats, this is, of course, a big worry, and we are working on it.
Now, you heard it right there. A great opportunity, a great chance here that China is going to send its junior partner, and then he calls him by his proper name, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, to attack NATO. This is exactly what come out of the Secretary General's mouth today. You have heard it for yourself. So there's two things at play there. First of all, the relationship between China and Russia. He's calling Russia, he being Rutte, the junior partner, and he's going to be on a mission for Xi Jinping. But secondly, we're openly talking at the NATO meeting, and probably most are missing this today because we're watching in Egypt, and rightfully so. Hey, China's going to use Russia to attack NATO. This is the rhetoric and the talk coming from NATO today. Now, I told you that while this is happening, basically simultaneously, there is praise for Viktor Orban. And I remind you, this is not about Hungarian people. I'm speaking about Orban. There are many wonderful Hungarians that support Ukraine massively, but Orban definitely anti-Ukraine 100%. Take a listen at where the praise came from.
We have Hungary. Oh, Victor, where is Victor? Victor. We love Victor. Viktor, I call him. You know, I put the little accent on it. You are fantastic, all right? I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm the only one that matters. You are fantastic. He's a great leader. I endorsed him the last election he had, and he won by 28 points. So you're going to do even better this time. If you have another election, and you're going to do great, and we appreciate it, and we're behind you 100%. That's Hungary.
Okay, so Trump there in Gaza, and you can see the unease with the smiles behind Trump there. But he says, we're behind you 100%. You're brilliant. You're a great leader. Last time I endorsed you, you won by 28 points. He's trailing right now, and there is an election coming. We'll see what unfolds. We're 100% behind you. How can you be 100% behind the man who is stating no help for Ukraine, but at the same time, you're saying, I want to help Ukraine, and it's possible I'm going to send some Tomahawks over there. There's just a colliding of the worlds, and we're going to see more of it. This is going to be a critical week of development, and it will end this Friday, with, towards the latter part of the week, with Zelensky confirming he will be in Washington, D.C. to discuss Tomahawks specifically, because Zelensky gave more information today that Trump said we can't discuss Tomahawks over a phone call. It must be done face to face. Now, let's get to the next phase. Zelensky giving an incredible report. I have edited it down so that the crux of it is there for you, speaking to NATO, and he covers it all.
First, a frontline update. This matters because our people have held back another wave of Russian attacks in Sumy and Donetsk regions. And that shows, again, Russia cannot achieve its goals when our unity generates enough support. Russia has failed many times to carry out Putin's order to take Donbass. They keep delaying this senseless goal.
So you've got Rutte saying, Vladimir Vladimirovich, you're the junior partner to Xi Jinping. And now you have President Zelensky saying you can't accomplish any of your senseless goals.
Second point, to cover up their failures. On the ground, Russia has started a new wave of air terror against Ukraine, against our cities and civilian infrastructure. Their main targets are our energy systems. Every day, every night, Russian missiles and drones hit power plants and transmission lines. And this is a brutal attack on normal life, and it is dangerous. To defend against it, we need systems and missiles, air defense systems. We cannot fully produce it in Ukraine. Yes, we have started making interceptor drones to stop Shaheeds, and we have mobile strike groups and aircraft. But Russian strikes are mixed and use many cruise and ballistic missiles. So that systems like Patriot, NASAMS, SAMP-T, and others are absolutely vital. Before winter, Putin hopes to use this terror to break our resistance. We must not let that happen.
And I can tell you, talking to my friends in Ukraine, of course, and we're watching every day as you do, this is the goal. They're trying to break the will of the Ukrainian people. We're talking about the heating season that comes through these massive block buildings being delayed. Maybe in the future, we'll need to import electricity. Right now, even through this, Ukraine still has enough electricity production capability, but transmission lines, substations, this is what they're trying to do, break the will of the Ukrainian people. And it's not going to happen.
So I urge you to advocate in your parliaments and governments for stronger air defenses and the missiles we need. And the decisions are needed in the coming weeks on both systems and missiles. Russia must learn it cannot terrorize any country with impunity. Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump for the second time in 2 days. We went through details: air defense, Patriot systems, Tomahawks, the energy equipment we need, and the need to stop partners buying Russian oil. Even if Hungarian guys claim it helps their election chances, in the long run, it undermines their country's security and Europe's. For Putin, every billion matters.
Isn't it interesting? Hungary stays right in the middle of this conversation. You heard it from Trump praising Orban a couple of minutes ago, and now Zelensky making reference to it. If this is what is happening from these world leaders, it's important. We need to pay attention to that story.
You cannot be part of the free world and at the same time fund those who want to destroy it. Air terror is Putin's last move. We must stop it, deny him victories on the ground and in the sky, then real diplomacy becomes possible. There are delegations from almost 50 countries here, from Europe, the whole alliance, the Middle East and other regions. This matters. We now see that the war in the Middle East is finally ending after so many victims. There is a real chance for peace. It was difficult, but it's happening. Russia's war in Europe remains the biggest source of global instability, and it depends on all of you whether this war will end too.
Zelensky went on to talk about Hamas being brought to the peace table. Now, we know that Hamas, let's be completely transparent here, has started the initial phase of this peace process, but they have not surrendered their weapons as of the recording of this video. And that's parts 2 and parts 3 of the implementation of this peace agreement that is supposed to continue to unfold. My only little bit of question here for President Zelensky, or for you to consider, what are your thoughts about this? You can drop a comment in the comment section. Dealing with Hamas and dealing with Putin is not comparing apples to apples. Hamas, a terrorist organization funded by nations, versus Russia, which is an established geopolitical power, nation, nuclear powerhouse, resource wealthy, propaganda masters. It's not apples to apples. Now, can the same thing happen through pressure and strength? Of course, and yes, and that's what's being fought for. But it's not the same, in my humble opinion. What is yours?
Putin can be forced into peace, just like any other terrorist. Even Hamas is now preparing to release hostages. If that is possible, then Putin can also be forced to restore peace. One more thing. Please do not ease sanctions on Russia. Strengthen them. Sanctions limit Russia's war machine. We also need pressure on those in your countries who continue to supply critical components for Russian drones and missiles. No Russian missile or drone would fly without parts from other countries. This is not only China and Taiwan. Some components still come from European countries and from others around the world who still cooperate with Russia's manufacturers of death. Russia must lose.
Wow, what a call out. And I mean right to their faces in the NATO assembly. And of course, the other nation around the world he's referring to is the United States, probably being cautious, calling that out today, knowing he's working on Tomahawks and scheduled to meet with Trump on Friday. But we know.
And on that basis, we must build a real system of guaranteed security, one that does not depend on shifting geopolitics or election moods. Dozens of countries are already part of this project, 35 countries in our coalition of the willing. Please support it at every level, in your parliaments, in your media, and through quiet diplomacy. Security must be guaranteed, and when it works for us, it will work for every country that needs protection. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Now, I've got news for you guys, and I hope you've made it this far in the video. That's how you communicate as a wartime leader, a wartime president, clear, concise, direct, calling out the enemy. I mean, being direct with it, but at the same time, letting the world know what the truth of the situation is. So that's what you have. Very interesting mix of events that have happened today. And we're trying to stay right on top of it for you. As we've said, this week going to be a key week for seeing where we proceed through the fall and into the winter. You guys be blessed. We're watching everything, looking like there may be very large scale drone potentially mixed, as Zelensky said, with cruise and ballistic missiles attack on Ukrainian infrastructure tonight. Watching it right now. Remember those guys wherever you're at. Be blessed.